We're getting ready to put a new radio in 22648. And first, though, I'd like to get a video of the old radio and make some comments on that. And then later we'll be installing the new one and sharing those experiences with you, the features and things we like about the new one. I'm going to make a video that includes a little bit of information about our old radio and some of the new features of the new radio. This video is partly for training for my students to help them know how to use these features. I was surprised when I started looking at the Garmin radio that I couldn't find very much information online from YouTube users or anybody like that telling me the features and how to use this. So anyhow, I just thought I would make something that might be of interest to others. We're getting ready to replace a radio that we've had, that we've been using this make and model of radio for about 30 years, almost 30 years. It's a TKM model MX-11. I first got one of these about 1991 or 92, and so I've been using them for about 30 years. And I like them very well. I feel like the first one I had gave me good service for about 20 years. Then this one is a second-hand one that I got from eBay. Both of these have been sent back to the company for service, but in neither case did they get them working perfectly like I would want. This one doesn't transmit very well on some frequencies, and that's one of the major reasons that we're going to replace it. Here at Lewisburg, West Virginia, LWB, our ground control is 121.9, and we have not been able to use that frequency consistently for a long time, so we've been using a handheld transceiver for that frequency. So that's one of the reasons I'm replacing this. And then at some other places like Charleston, West Virginia, maybe Beckley, West Virginia on the Intercom frequency, 123.0. There's places where I don't get good signal reports consistently, so we're going to move up to a newer radio. These MX-11s are good radios, I feel like. They serve me well for a long time, and you can still get a new one, but the new one costs $1,800 and something, about what I'm paying for the Garmin, and yet it still has essentially the same features that these radios had 30 years ago. Okay. This is one of the TKM MX-11 radios. This is the one I bought 30 years ago. And like I said, it served me pretty well for about 20 years. Then it started having trouble, and even though I sent it back to the dealer, they never really got it working just right. And I had another avionics guy work on it as well. Now, this radio at that time, 30 years ago, it was a slide-in replacement for these old Narco radios. And so it fit in the same tray. Everything about it was the same. You just take one out and slide the other one in. So that was a usable solution at that time. So we're moving up to a more modern radio with some features we're going to share with you later that are not available in this radio. This radio still costs almost as much, or essentially the same, as the Garmin GTR, I think it's called, a GTR 225. I'm going to be doing a video comparing, maybe you'd say, our old radio with our new radio, and kind of a review on some of the features and the use of the Garmin GTR 225 comm radio. I have it installed here, or I didn't install it, but it's installed. And so I'm going to go through sort of some features that it has and how to use it, sort of a training video for my students, maybe some other renters, and for other interested people. The wind is blowing the door of the hangar, so you're going to hear a little bit of thumping on there. First, we're going to turn it on way up here in the upper left side. Turn this knob clockwise. And first, some little screens come on telling you about the data and the dates and just information about the radio, what it is and when it was made, and the date of its updated database and information like that. Then it's going to go to the regular screen. And there it is, and it came up to the last two digits, or the last two frequencies that we used, which are Lewisburg ATIS and 122.9, another frequency here. But we're going to get to a lot of frequencies. Now, if you adjust the volume, you'll see a volume bar comes up here on the screen. You might even hear that through the headsets a little bit on this frequency. And that little volume bar goes away. One great feature of this radio that we'll mention right up front is that it has a monitor button. If this frequency is in the active and we push the monitor button, then we are able to monitor the standby frequency while we are remaining active on this frequency. If something comes through on this frequency that we should hear, it will mute this one out. And so this is a great feature. This is something new that we didn't have on our old radio. We're able to stay. This is real useful for things like staying on the tower frequency. Let's put this on 118.9. And which is the Lewisburg tower frequency. A lot of times we might like to be on the tower frequency, but be able to monitor the ATIS frequency, and we can do that, and it doesn't interfere with our use of that frequency at all. So that monitor feature is a great idea. Little monitor button right over here. The flip-flop button is over on the right side of the display, and we can reverse these by flip-flopping, and we had that feature on our old radio. Now it's the 121.4 is the active frequency. The flip-flop flips between active and standby, reverses those. Now, from anywhere in this process that we're going to be showing you, if anywhere you wonder how to get back to this screen, just push the COM button down here and it'll bring you back from anywhere in the system. There are actually, another thing I should mention is that this radio has a built-in intercom, so we no longer have to turn on the intercom separately. When the radio's on, the intercom is on, and we have the two headsets hooked up to it. So we might have to do some tweaking of some of the inward controls of it, but it worked well the other day. We have about 4 ways to enter frequencies into this radio. One is that we can simply start changing knobs over here. This outer knob changes the whole number. So there we're on 121.1 or 0.4. Let's run this up to about 136 just to show where it'll go there. 136.7. Well, let's say 0.75. So here's 0.7, 725, 75, 775. So now, to put this frequency over into active, we simply use the flip-flop. And now that frequency is over there. The 118.9 is over here. So that's one of the ways we can use the outer knob to change the whole number, the inner knob to change the decimals, and we have 3 decimal places to the right of the decimal. So whenever you use this knob to change the frequencies, you are always changing the standby frequency, and then you'll have to push the flip-flop to put it over there. And a lot of radios have worked that way for a long time. Another feature that it has, the last 20 frequencies that we've used are saved in a memory. So we can go over here to the memory button, and it says COM, recent frequencies. So then it says 1 of 20. We can turn this outer knob, and we can scroll through those frequencies that have been used most recently, up to 20 of them. I don't know if there's 20 of them in there right now. We're on the 8th one. There's the 9th one, 10th one, and so there's only 10 in there right now. But as you use it more, it will accumulate 20 different frequencies, and you can go to those. Now, once you select a frequency that you want here, let's say we got 127.5. If we want to send that directly to the active, we will push the flip-flop button. If we're going to do a different one, but instead of pushing flip-flop, we are going to, we'll push the memory there. We'll start scrolling these. Here's the 136.775. If instead of pushing flip-flop, we push enter, that one will go in here, and the one that was in the active stays there. So that's using the most recent 20 frequencies. Now there's also a COM user frequency memory in here. Let's go back to COM. Anytime you don't know where to go, push the COM button. It takes you back to this. Let's try the function knob, and that gives us a frequency list, and then we can turn the knob, or turn this over here, recent frequencies and user frequencies. Now let's enter that. Here are the user frequencies that are in here. This one says LWB ATIS. This is the ATIS frequency for Lewisburg. If we turn the small inner knob here, it goes to the ground control for Lewisburg. The next one is the tower for Lewisburg. The next one is the Unicom for Lewisburg. The next one is 122.9, which is a common multicom frequency used as a common traffic advisory frequency at a lot of airports, including Penn Springs, Rainelle, Bluefield, some of the airports in our area. Now, I think that's all the ones I have stored in that there right now, those 5 frequencies. 20. So we could select 118.9, which is the tower frequency. If we push enter, that will go into the standby frequency. If we had pushed flip-flop, it would have gone directly into the active frequency. Now, if a compatible GPS was connected to this, then the radio would always know where it was, and it would know where the nearest airport, nearest control centers, nearest flight service stations, nearest weather information, so you could scroll through there and choose those and put those frequencies directly in the radio and use them. But this, our GPS does not interface with this Garmin unit, so that won't work for us. But the radio itself does have a built-in database from which you can extract frequencies, even if you didn't know a frequency. So let's do this. First, let's go back to the COM frequency, back to the COM page, and let's, on this button that we've been using to select some things, let's just push that button. It brings up inner identifier, and we're going to, since a lot of American identifiers start with K, we're going to use this little knob to scroll up to K, H-I-J-K. Then we're going to use the outer knob to go to L, and we're going to go to L-U-K, which is Lunken Airport in Cincinnati. So we're going to use the small knob to advance to the L. And then we're going to turn the outer knob to the next position. And we're going, since we want a U there, and U is kind of far up in the alphabet, so we can kind of go backwards to get there more quickly than we would by going frontwards. There's the U, and then here's the K. So E, F, G, H, I, J, K. and it says Cincinnati Municipal Lunken Airport. Now, if we push enter, it's going to give us a list of frequencies for that airport. It says Lunken ATIS, and here's Lunken clearance delivery. Lunken, probably that's another clearance delivery. Looks like that one says clearance delivery. This one's ground control, 121.9. 118.7 is the tower. 133.925 is a tower frequency. So it has different tower frequencies. Here's the Unicom in the office, 122.95, and so forth. So you can choose those. Now, if we go back to the ATIS, here's Lunken ATIS. If we want to put that in our active side of our radio, we just simply push the flip-flop button, and it's over there, and it's labeled LUK ATIS. And the one that was over here went over here. So we're using the database that's within the airplane. There's a little USB plug here to update that. And this procedure that we're using, we're going to do it again to show you another example. We'll go to that. We will go to push this. And here's K. Let's move this on over. Let's go to ROA, which is Roanoke. R-O-A. It says Roanoke Blacksburg. So if we push enter, then it starts to give us a list of frequencies from Roanoke. Here's the Roanoke ATIS, Roanoke clearance delivery, Roanoke ground control, Roanoke tower, Roanoke Unicom. So let's say we want to go to the tower frequency. Maybe we've already listened to the ATIS, we want to go to the tower frequency, or we're going to pretty soon, but right now we just want it in our standby. If we push the enter button, it will go into the standby. Whatever we had in the active stays there. So you might want to familiarize yourself with that method of entering information into aviation radio, because that method has been around a few years and it's seemingly becoming pretty standardized. So anyhow, we use this kind of method. We use the outer knob to position the cursor, and the smaller knob to select the characters that we want in it. Now let's review these buttons along the bottom. We haven't said something about all of them. We will say again, this knob turns it on and turns it up and controls the volume. The volume bar shows up momentarily. Here's the monitor button. If we wanted to monitor this frequency, just push this button, and now we're still on the same frequency we were. The little MN on there now is telling us that we're monitoring that frequency as well. If we want to go back to this page from anywhere, we just push the COM button. And we were already on that. Here's the memory button, and we've shown you how to access the last 20 frequencies, or also to go in through the function button to access the 15 frequencies that can be stored in the user frequency database. Here's an ICS button, which basically means intercom settings, tweaking little things such as squelch and so forth in the intercom, and so that's what you won't have to use that very much. The function button takes us in access to some of the configurations, timers, and you press it the second time and you'll exit, and that's how you access some of the memories. The clear button means if you've entered some information and you change your mind, just clear it with the clear button, CLR there. If you push the enter button, then that saves it. We have a little photo sensor up here, which automatically adjusts the brightness of the screen for different lighting conditions. And again, there's the monitor button on this side, the flip-flop button on this side. So it has some features that the old radio didn't have. One is to be able to monitor another frequency at the same time. One is the built-in intercom. We like that. And so most of it's forward. I feel like it doesn't have a real high learning curve. This radio has an output of 10 watts as compared to the older radio that we had 8 watts, so it gives us good clear punch from a good distance. So I hope this helped you. I hope it's interesting to you, and that it'll be an encouragement to somebody. We wanted to move up. Our older radio was giving some problems. We wanted to move up to something with some newer features. And so far, we haven't used this very much, but so far we have been very pleased with it. Thanks for watching.